Joining me with the outcome of this year's Politifest are Voice of San Diego CEO Scott Lewis and San Diego City Council member Kevin Faulkner, who was part of the forum on moving the city forward this past weekend. And welcome.
Welcome, thanks.
Welcome. We were there.
Yeah.
So, Scott, who else besides Councilman Faulkner was on the panel?
So we had Councilman Mark Kersey, the Council President Todd Gloria, Assemblywomen Tony Atkins and Lorena Gonzalez, and Jan Goldsmith, the city attorney. And I thought it was a great discussion. I asked them basically the same question: what do we do now? You all want to move on from the leadership we have at the city, so what now?
So moving forward, did you get some unusual answers?
Yeah, we did. I had to ask Assemblywoman Lorena Gonzalez and her Democratic counterparts, what they knew about the mayor leading up, and how can we make sure that doesn't happen in the future, and that that produced some colorful responses. And then also, Jan Goldsmith had this very important moment where he said that as he goes through this legal process and depositions or whatever for the city's legal troubles regarding this issue, that he's going to give the city Mayor Filner an out, some kind of deal or something that would get him out of office. So I needed to follow up on that. Maybe I'll do some writing on that later. But there were a lot of little moments like that caught my ear.
Definitely, and we'll come back to a couple of those. But Councilman Faulkner, I want to ask you first, what was your message? Why did you want to be there?
It was a great discussion, and I appreciate the Voice bringing everybody together. Great panel, bipartisan panel. My message was very clear and very simple. We're better than Bob Filner as a city. We will get through this. It's very difficult, but at the same time, we're going to make sure that the city functions as best we can. But also, if the mayor truly had the best interests of San Diego at heart, he would do the right thing and step aside and resign. And I hope he does. And
I understand everyone on the panel was in support of the mayor resigning. How come there wasn't anybody there who said, no, we want him to stay?
Well, I think it's a demonstrative of just how unified and how much consensus there is on this particular point. Now, the mayor does have some defenders, but I think there's people who aren't willing to call for his recall or for his resignation, but there's a big gap between them then wanting to make a huge public case. We had his director of planning, Bill Fulton, on for an hour before that to talk about the mayor's vision for neighborhoods and how that was going forward. And I thought that was a productive discussion. The mayor was technically still confirmed to be at Politifest and never told us he wasn't coming. We assumed that would probably be the outcome.
And he did not show, just to be clear.
He did not, no. And so we wanted to have a discussion. Look, this was kind of a put this in their plate. You guys say the current leader is somebody who needs to leave, so what do we do now then? And I really wanted to push them, too, to answer some tough questions about whether they would support things like a recall, which I don't think they all were entirely comfortable with.
Okay, and Councilman Faulkner, how well or how poorly is the city functioning right now during this 3 weeks so far and counting scandal?
Well, we don't have a mayor who's here, first and foremost. He's actually gone. Out of town somewhere, presumably. I'm not sure where he is. We also have a mayor that has effectively lost his ability to govern this city. And so, some of the day-to-day city operations will move forward. But our mayor is absent. We're a big city. We're a full-time city. We need a full-time mayor. And to have all of this continue to go on, this continued chaos, this continued turmoil, it's not serving our city very well. It's not serving our neighborhoods very well, which is why all of us on that panel, were very united. The mayor needs to resign and step aside. I don't know what he's going to do. I really hope he does not put this city through the time and the expense of a recall, but only he can answer that question.
Were you encouraged by, I'll start with you and I'll come back to you, were you encouraged by the idea if the mayor does not resign or the recall effort is not successful, were there some suggestions and ideas that said how we could move forward and basically manage the city with this mayor?
No, not at all. This is a very difficult situation, I think, that we're going to be in. And look, we can not have a mayor, as we described. My organization would survive without me, would keep operating. The question is what a leader actually does to push an organization to adapt, to find partnerships, to innovate, to go in different directions. That's what a leader does, and that takes a lot of not just a power in legal terms, but also influence and persuasiveness, and I don't know that he has that.
And Councilman, I'll let you in with this. What do you think? Is there a plan being developed in case this drags on for the next 3.5 years?
Well, we're going to come together as a council and make sure that we are holding the administration accountable and responsible, and we are going to make sure that the day-to-day operations of the city function. But it's in everyone's interest, this entire city's interest, to put this behind us as quickly as possible. And as I mentioned before, only Bob Filner can make that decision. And I hope he makes the right decision on behalf of all San Diegans, because we're such a great city. We are so much better than what's happening. And he needs to do the right thing.
All right, there's a whole lot more of this conversation on our website, kpbs.org. Councilman Kevin Faulconer, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Voice of San Diego, Scott Lewis, thank you.
Thank you.